New Year's Eve turned into a terrifying tragedy for a 13-year-old girl, forever altering her life. She fell into the clutches of a villain who tormented her relentlessly, capturing it all on camera. This is a story that highlights how seemingly harmless online conversations can lead to irreversible consequences, shocking the entire world. Alicia Kozakiewicz was born on March 23, 1988, in the American city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Her life seemed like a dream: loving parents, a caring older brother, and a future full of hope. In 2001, when Alicia was 13 years old, her brother introduced her to the world of the internet. Soon, she became engrossed in chat rooms where people from all over the world could communicate freely. In a Yahoo chat room, she met a peer with whom she quickly formed a bond. They chatted incessantly, did homework together, and shared details of their lives. Alicia sought advice from her new friend, confided her feelings, and sometimes vented about her parents. The young man always cheered her up, supported her, and shared her interests. The computer Alicia used to access the internet was in the living room, so her family members could always see what she was doing. To avoid constant surveillance, she started logging into the chat room at night when everyone else in the family was asleep. This continued for almost a year. Alicia felt like she was on cloud nine. She believed she had found a kindred spirit. Their conversations increasingly revolved around a personal meeting. They both longed for more than just online communication. Here arose the main problem. Alicia, at the age of 13, couldn't tell her parents that she wanted to meet her internet friend. Sneaking out for a rendezvous without their knowledge seemed nearly impossible. That's when her friend proposed the perfect solution. He would come to her house on New Year's Eve, and she would slip out unnoticed, finally meeting face to face. For Alicia, this plan was ideal. What could be better than a romantic meeting on New Year's Eve? On December 31, 2001, a festive dinner was underway, gathering the entire family: parents, grandmother, brother, his girlfriend, and friends. Before dessert, Alicia told her mother that she wasn't feeling well and left the table. Her parents assumed she would briefly go to her room and return, but Alicia had other plans. The young girl quietly left home and ran to meet her prince. At that moment, she wondered, why did he choose New Year's Eve for our meeting? Surely, it's to give me a pleasant surprise, thought Alicia. She ran, imagining how their first date would unfold. Soon, the romantic mood shifted to mild anxiety. The girl stood in the middle of a dark street with no one around. It was then that she realized how reckless and dangerous her decision to leave home had been. Alicia decided to turn back. As she turned around, she suddenly heard her name. At that moment, she thought it would be foolish to run away, so she headed toward her fate. Everything that followed seemed like a blur. The girl found herself in a car, being driven by a man to an unknown destination. Fear consumed her mind. It was a dreadful, soul-crushing fear. Alicia felt like she was in a movie, but certainly not her own life. After 5 hours on the road, she saw his face. He was an adult man, completely different from the guy she had chatted with online. The reality didn't fit in her head. It seemed things couldn't get worse. Suddenly, he grabbed her hands, pulled her out of the car, threw her into a basement, and chained her. He looked into her eyes, smirked maliciously, and said, "You're about to experience something very unpleasant, so feel free to cry." The next 4 days turned into hell for the girl. The abductor brutalized her, recording all the torment on camera. He immediately shared the videos on sadistic forums and sometimes brought his friends to witness Alicia's suffering. Throughout this ordeal, her sole focus was on survival. One day, the monster informed her that he would leave the house and return in the evening. He added that he was falling in love with the girl. Alicia realized that he intended to end her life that very evening. Meanwhile, the FBI was putting immense effort into finding Alicia. At some point, an anonymous man from Florida came forward after watching the video of the girl's torment online. Fearful of being implicated, he decided to assist law enforcement in pinpointing the victim's location. He provided them with the login under which the criminal posted the videos. The FBI swiftly traced the IP address, followed by the location of the house in Herndon, Virginia. A SWAT team promptly descended upon the location. Hearing the commotion and cries, Alicia was horrified. She feared that the abductor had instructed someone to take her life. Within seconds, the door swung open, and she saw the reassuring letters FBI on their attire. For the next few days, the girl remained in shock and could barely speak. Initially taken to the hospital and later to the police station, Alicia noticed a dollhouse in the examination room. Suddenly, she realized that the victims of abuse were often much younger children than herself. Before meeting her parents, the girl was in turmoil. She believed she had done something wrong and that her family no longer loved her. Of course, she was mistaken. The reunion with her mother and father became one of the happiest events in her life. The abductor was arrested 30 minutes after rescuing the girl. The criminal turned out to be Scott William Tyree. Born in 1963, he had a basic education and led an ordinary life. Tyree had been married twice, both marriages ending in divorce. His first wife described him as a typical programmer, passionate about science fiction and games. Until his arrest, he had never run afoul of the law. However, there was one detail in his biography that was truly shocking. Tyree had a daughter from his second marriage who was only a year younger than Alicia. She lived with him during winter break and went home on the very day he set out to capture his victim. After Alicia's rescue, she faced another serious trial: the court. Despite having all the necessary evidence, the investigators forced her to relive the entire horror. She had to watch the videos of her torment and confirm that it was indeed her. From the court's perspective, subjecting the girl's psyche to such a trial was extremely reckless, but she agreed. In September 2003, the court sentenced Tyree to 19 years and 7 months in prison. In February 2019, he was released on parole, but he was placed under constant surveillance. This sparked outrage across America. The correctional system chose a house for him in Pittsburgh, where Alicia lived. Ordinary people and even members of Congress demanded that the monster be kept far away from the victim. The situation resolved itself, albeit temporarily. In October 2019, Tyree violated the terms of his early release, landing him back in prison for an additional 2 years. Alicia Kozakiewicz's life unfolded in a remarkable way. The dollhouse in her hospital room haunted her, serving as a constant reminder. She understood the dangers of the internet for children and, at the age of 14, dedicated her life to their protection. In a way, this mission saved her too, allowing her to divert her focus from the tragedy that could have shattered even the strongest. Now 32 years old, Alicia works as a lawyer, defending those who have suffered at the hands of criminals. She has also founded her own project, aimed at raising awareness among teenagers about the perils of social networks. Throughout her journey, Alicia grappled with trust issues. The childhood trauma nearly obliterated her belief in people, care, and sincerity. Yet, once again, she managed to overcome this formidable barrier. Today, she finds happiness in her marriage.